Recorded.
Okay. That didn't bother me. Okay. Ready? Okay. So call to order at 5:07. I will start with the land acknowledgement. The Altadena Library District acknowledges its presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded land of the Gabrielino Tonga peoples. Altadena is located on the stolen homelands of the Hahamanga Tiger Bank. The traditional territory of the Gabrielino Tonga is referred to as the Bungar, which includes the areas currently known as Los Angeles County, Riverside County, West San Bernardino County, parts of Orange County, as well as the 4 Southern Channel Islands. Entities such as the U.S. government and non-native settlers have subjected the Gabrielino Tonga peoples to historic and continuing injustices, including genocide, forced displacement, and cultural and linguistic erasure. Altadena Library commits to learning, educating, and informing its staff and residents of present-day Altadena about the rich histories, vibrant communities, and culture of the Gabrielino Tonga people, present and past, through our collection development, resources, and program offerings. And we will do a roll call. Trustee Ramos.
Here.
I am here. Trustee Clark.
Here.
Trustee Ruckins.
Here.
Trustee Glenn is not here. Okay, is there any reordering of the agenda?
No.
If not, can I get a motion to approve or adopt the agenda? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any public comment on non-agenda items?
No.
Great. Okay, moving on to the consent calendar, can we get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion approved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on to department updates and special presentations. We have, is there any feedback or comments on the department updates, reports in your packets? Questions or comments?
I just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody who has made the transition process work. I know it's been a big one and it's so smooth. I pulled up to Bob Lucas the other morning at 9 a.m. I was like, oh, let's just scan my card, do early entry. The problem, I put a little study room online. Sent my little emails, I did my little Zoom call. I was like, man, this library is working.
Yeah.
Great. But no, I know it's been a big transition. And so thank you so much to everybody. I know it'll continue to be challenging over the next couple months, but I feel like we're in such good shape for a really solid set of services.
Seconded. Other feedback? Okay. Then we have a couple of presentations. We have the mental health grant from the Direct Relief. Hi. Hi.
No, you're
Thank
gonna
you.
come on. Okay, here we go. We want you to be heard as owls. Awesome. So I'd like to introduce our team librarian, Ben Lee, as well as our PCC intern.
Let's go.
Hi.
I don't want to say it wrong. So Kate was a PCC intern with us last summer, and then we got to keep her for another 8 months.
Wow.
Oh, all right.
It's been absolutely amazing working with Ben, especially on this. So I'm excited to let them share, but wanted to introduce you. Thanks for being here tonight, both of you.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, like Nikki mentioned, my name is Ben Lee. I'm Kate. And we just wanted to take a quick moment of your time just to give you a report about what we've done with the Direct Relief Grant, and specifically for fire recovery and mental health support. We'll go to our next slide, please. So about the grant, just a quick overview. Direct Relief have reached out to Altadena Library District and graciously granted us a very quick turnaround grant. We had to kind of put things together pretty immediately. The incredible thing about direct relief is that they were actually named Time 2025 Dreamer of the Year. And through that organizations, they responded from the in fire recovery efforts and things like that, and has been able to give grant money to different organizations. So we were not the only ones that they worked with us, but they worked with other organizations. And so it was really nice to, you know, every time we talk about direct relief with the community, it sometimes sounded like they already knew the grant because they were kind of in the community already. And so a quick descriptor of kind of what they've done is, you know, basically with support from direct relief, the Altadena Library District is partnering with local organizations to offer workshops, trainings, and other activities for all ages that promote community health and well-being in the aftermath of the fire. The funding will also help create a collection of wellness materials and supplies available for patrons to access during their visits. Next slide, please. So with that in mind, our goals were very simple. We were going to offer mental health programs and events throughout a 6-month period. We just completed our last mental health program in February. We provided grab and go kits to all ages. That included sensory toys to all ages. And lastly, mainly Kate curated items to add to our Library of Things collection. And we did complete that shy of like late winter 2025. This was not just through me and Kate's efforts. Obviously, it started with some past employees, and we just wanted to acknowledge their work in this. It was with Ashley Watts as well as Sophia Aguilar. And so kind of in collaboration with each other, we were able to kind of hit the ball running and provide resources and services to our community that we were very proud to see kind of the best of it. So we're here to share some of that. Next slide, please. Just a quick grant breakdown. We were provided $20,300. The way that it was broken down was the program budget was about half of that. Giveaways was about, 8,000 worth, and also Library of Things was also 1,000. And we spent every single penny, and it was a delightful experience. I've never done that before. And so there are some examples, and we'll go over some programs, but we were able to have some goat yoga opportunities for families, and we were also able to, partner with local organizations like Callisto Tea House, who has been such a great partner for us over the years, and she provided some mental health teas, and it was a great experience, and I know a lot of people went away with some good recommendations. Next.
So part of the program's impact, like they said, we have a list of some of the community partner organizations that we worked with. We worked with 14 in total. The ones that are bolded are the local orgs. That includes like Callisto Tea House, Home Now CRC, Practice Altadena, Ruckus Roots, Altadena Cooks. Some photos here that you see along the side are from the different programs that we did. Our community engagement count of all ages was about 258, and that was spread out through all of the programs over about 8 months.
So 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months. So we've got some, and the programs were all kind of very different. Like the Altadena Cooks was related to recipe preservation for those who lost cookbooks and memories in their homes, as well as we were able to use some of the grant money to provide giveaways in that event. For also people that lost kitchen items, we were able to provide some of them for them. And then Children of One Planet led some ukulele lessons, which you'll see at the very bottom in the center. That was for kids. It was a great turnout. Music is always like a great program. And then Postal Service for the Dead, who was actually like a former Altadena Library employee, did a really nice workshop about kind of like grief writing and like just the writing practice and how it can relate to mental health and recovery in a different way.
And just really quick, one partner, Practice Altadena, they're super local, right off of Lake in Mariposa. She mentioned that she really appreciates the library showing up for her like continually, and I think it speaks volumes to that even past the mental health grant, we continue to kind of partner with our fellow, especially businesses that are struggling and still trying to keep their doors on, their lights open. And she just really, really wanted to extend her appreciation for us and, reaching out to her and continuing to partner with her. So we know that these have lasting impacts, not just in this grant, but beyond. So, next slide, please.
All right, so the giveaways impact, here's some more photos of the different events we were able to do. Community engagement numbers for the giveaways is about 1,400 across 6 different community events. Those included like the Altadena Small Business Market, the Make Your Own Present at JMHS, Altadena Forever Run, the first anniversary commemoration at Grocery Outlet, as well as the Eaton Fire anniversary at Von Muir. And you can see a couple photos. I think all the times that we were there with giveaways, it was quite heavily attended. People were excited to come out and kind of see what the library has to offer. Okay, so these are the library things that when Ben was breaking down the budget, that like $1,000-ish went to the library of things kits that we were able to purchase and put together. We got 8 in total, which broke down into 2 mental health kits for youth, which is like the teens, youth, which is also the children's, the 2 mental health kits for teens, and the 2 mental health kits for adults. The children's is the one at the very top left, and then teens, and then there's also, we put together a sound bath kit. In the library of things processing, we'd also like to thank our technical services department, Darlene and Christine helped with this. And now that the main branch is closed, since we have 2 of each kit, we're able to put one of those into our mobile outreach van, because our bookmobile, so we can get them out into the community. So this will be at the library long after the grant. Kind of. And then just some of the stories that we wanted to highlight from different events. There's more photos from different, I think the top 2, those are from one of the scrapbooking events, as well as one of the art crafting events. And then the bottom is some of the book kits that we were able to put together for giveaways. Those are mostly the team books. But just some quotes we wanted to share was regarding the yoga program. I came in stressed, and after this exercise, I feel grounded. For the sound bath event, what I liked most about this program was it allowed me to focus on rest. This is my first sound bath. It was really nice to be able to introduce members of the community to these real amazing resources and programs and types of activities like sound baths and really another, I think this is the tea event, a much needed offering. We really liked that quote. And then in regards to the grief writing program, so glad this program was offered. I haven't been able to even just sit down. I just want to talk to my house that I lost and write a letter. It was really sweet. And then I've gone to so many support groups and group counseling, but this program is a way to process differently with more attention. That's also in regards to the grief writing program. And then in the Altadena Cooks event, someone said thank you for not forgetting about us. That was really touching since I think that program was in December 2025, and for someone to say that, I think it was really meaningful for us to feel like that long. But I think for people who are looking for a lot, it's
we just want to emphasize the last aspect of thank you for not forgetting about us. I think across the board in most, if not all of these programs, in all of these giveaways, just these like little moments, and obviously we can't capture all of them, but from personal experience, just you would have no idea how much joy you would feel from somebody getting an adult coloring book. It was kind of wild for me because I was like, oh, it's a coloring book, it's a thoughtful gesture, but it really changed people's days, moments, hopefully month maybe. I mean, like it just really was important to see the community know that we aren't forgetting about them. We will never forget about them. And beyond this work for the mental health grant, I hope that message continues and that we still feel that way, because it was a great opportunity for us to really put our brains together, but obviously a lot of it was from feedback from the community. It was also feedback from, you know, our colleagues. So we just feel really honored to have been able to do this grant and we appreciate your time. And if there are any questions, please let us know. We'd be happy to.
Go ahead.
Oh, so it seems like this was a super positive process. Excuse me. Do you feel like there's anything that you have learned from the process of this grant that's going to inform programming or services going forward?
Definitely. I mean, like one big takeaway, like I mentioned, just reminding us in terms of when we do go out to outreach events, knowing kind of like that this might be the first time we saw the library since the fire, right?
Yeah.
There's like so much newness still, so much freshness of like grief. And so I think it is important to continue working with our partners or partner organizations who have been showing up day in and day out. We continue to work with them. We continue to like listen and hear the feedback because we do know like these things are needed, you know. Recently at the Practice Altadena event, I think that was the very last one of the grant programming season. They were just like, I would come all the time if this was something that we could do. And I think it's really important that we continue to work with people who actually know what it's like, who have been in this community, who have been impacted the same way that they've been impacted. So it doesn't feel so disconnected.
Yeah.
Like we all know what everyone's kind of going through. So
That's right. Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
Any other questions? I think it is I've worked in mental health, so it's just like lit my fire. And so I just wanted to say thank you for intentionally, like someone said, thinking about this from that perspective. The programming looks really amazing.
I'll say a last comment. I feel like I sound very new to like the Altadena Library, but also library work in general. I think it was really nice because this grant was just a way to kind of fund and support programs that the libraries are really doing. So it was nice to be a part of that. Yeah, it was very special.
I'll just add that we were approached by kind of going on in here, and you know, the word has heard me talk about like, here, take this money and spend it in this way if you can, and sometimes it doesn't always work, right? Like the foundation gets a grant that like, so I just commend the staff for figuring it out, because I mean, $20,000 is
It's a lot of money.
a lot of money, and I think they were very intentional and smart about how they spent it in a way that really had impact. So well done.
Yeah, I also just really want to commend you guys. Like, I don't know how everybody else feels about this, but like, obviously there is an ongoing and intense mental health component to this process, but it's also a really delicate one. And I think people are at different places at different times on different days, and having such a wide range of options for people to opt into at various points, I think is a really lovely structure. And it gives people a sense of agency that I think a lot of us are missing through this process, because it can feel like all your choices got taken away from you. And so the choice to be like, okay, I'm gonna like play the ukulele, amazing, like that, and expanding the realm of like what mental health looks like, right? I think is hugely important, and introducing people to like, okay, yes, it can look like what we might traditionally conceive of, but it can look like all these other things too. Has a ton of value. So I really appreciate that.
And one of the trainings that I often facilitate for work is mental health first aid. And one of the steps is thinking about mental health in that way, thinking about encouraging self-help and other supportive strategy. You know, for someone, like you said, they may not ever want to go to therapy, right? But expanding the horizon of like, well, this is also mental health has been a really big focus of people in the mental health field. You know, just taking it outside of the couch, you know, outside of the therapy room. So I echo that. I think it's a really great way to approach it.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. We have another presentation, Every Story Counts Survey Report. Again.
Welcome, Anna.
Thank you. Have a brief overview of our survey survey, which was the California State Library Initiative. It was aimed to capture or measure outcomes of how and what Californians do happen. Great. Survey was offered in January for 1 week until January 25th to the 31st. So it's really timely for us to do off of the last week as well. And through paper forms and an online link, we received over 80 responses from our survey asked team members about their experiences going to the library and their library. We also have the option of adding additional questions to be able to do that, and we use those questions to assess how the library was fire and during that time as well. And the last question, look towards the future and ask folks of the members of the so, just a few key takeaways. All very positive. Over 90% of residents said they felt welcome to the library. It's also the space where you're able to connect with people, and they trust the information that they're getting with their staff, materials, resources that some of the common uses of our library. 80% uses the library to borrow materials. Over 70% uses the library to attend programs. 59% uses the library to study and work, do their personal work. 50% uses the library to get information, whether it's from books, microservices, or from person. And then 44% of people who would like the survey said they use to come to the library for something new or useful. But I just really want to focus more on the statistics because it's best understood through recent listening. As I was going through the results, I found that I was really to find statements that spoke very positively about all aspects of our library, whether it's from the main library, Bob Lucas, Mama Alta, programs offered to youth and teens and adults, adult literacy, passports, library, our outdoor in and indoor concerts, staff, supporting folks during the fire and the newsletters. And that the stories just really remind us that I was born in a place and a valued place where as a manage and a reminder for the staff that the work that we do is appreciated by folks here. And just like to really like plug in this support brother now, even though the ranch is closed, because we're just become Bob Lucas and Roman Alta and then to also have.
Thank you. Any questions?
Is this a survey that happens every year or is it just like a one-time thing?
The first time I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing something like that before. That's cool. How many, sorry, oh, you said 84 respondents. I just really wanted to underline one of the comments, the person who said like the newsletter sort of post-fire has been really helpful, and especially the point about like not needing to verify the information separately. I can't tell you guys how often in various recovery spaces I hear exactly that. It's like somebody will be like, I don't know, and somebody else will say like, no, I know it's for real because I saw it in the library newsletter. And then that shuts it down, like end of conversation. And that's amazing, like that level of credibility. I mean, in many ways, kind of local journalism work that we are doing is far beyond the traditional bounds of what libraries do, but is such a needed service right now. And so to be picking up that work along with everything else, I think is incredible, and it is making a huge difference.
There were several things about
Yeah. Really cool.
And So you said it's not, we've not seen this survey before. It didn't come from us. Where did you say it came
California
from?
State Library. So
Okay.
they asked all like health libraries in California to participate in this survey, and they gave you 4 questions to begin with, and all districts or library systems can add 3 additional.
Oh, okay.
So that's it.
Okay.
Do we know how we stack up against other libraries? Are we the best library? I assume the answer is yeah. Are we the number one? No, but
For us, and then like I have to select only one quote out of like all the quotes that we got, just to like have like a nice piece to show.
yeah,
And to use. But yeah, I mean, I think all our numbers are pretty good. Like 90% of people thought they're welcome, and then beyond that, like we would want to come back, and they do feel like it's a good place and they trust them. So I think this overwhelming positive.
I have no doubt that like that is 100% like representative of how people feel about the library. I'm just thinking, especially as we're like going to harangue people in Sacramento about money, it would be wonderful to be like, hey, 95% of Altadena feel like they're welcome at the library, compared to only 60% of people at these other trash. But not that we want to. No, I'm not trying to talk smack about other libraries in the state of California, but I do think, I think that we have probably an exceptionally high level of trust. Is my theory. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but it would be interesting to know if there's data that we could sort of borrow as we conduct some of these advocacy efforts.
We'll do some research.
Yeah.
I do think the state librarians, like, try to pull in a lot of data
Sure.
to support why funding is.
Well, which we want to support. Yeah, we don't want to be like, and we deserve the most. As long as
It is true.
it is. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to support groups. Any feedback?
Sure, I told Mark I would provide his update again before then. I did include in my report that we had a very, very successful book and furniture sale, as well as lots of other things. The 3rd week of February, kudos to the friends and Mark, and his little army, as I called them, that invaded the main library to price like hundreds of items and do their due diligence to try to raise as much money as possible. I never thought I'd see the storage room empty.
Amazing.
They did a great job clearing out, as well as raising almost $40,000. So I believe we're gonna continue meeting the first Tuesday of each month. Ray and I will stay all over that. All right.
Yep.
As far as the foundation, I believe they're having a meeting tonight to discuss, I think it's maybe the financial
Piece, yeah.
the financial piece of things. Ray and I are also keeping a close eye on that, and we'll continue to attend and work with the foundation and friends, since he's double liaison. I think that's about it, right?
That's it, yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
On to the administrative update.
All right, so yes, good evening, trustees and many members of the public in attendance and staff. So looking at the administrative update, we have not done a recruitment since November. I just jinxed us, but actually would. That's really exciting news for me to share, so yay. In terms of our marketing update, thank you to everyone who attended the groundbreaking. I really appreciated that Brandon pointed out how much amazing exposure in the media we got about the groundbreaking. So kudos to her for making like a lot of news. Got a lot of Google updates and alerts about that. She also this past month worked on the conditional use hearing boards in coordination with Jennifer Pearson. I'll also briefly touch on that a little bit later, as well as trying to promote as much as possible getting our 2 curiosity vans out in the community now that the main library is closed. That included a new segment on PayPal. Thank you to Deep for being interviewed for that piece. As well as just, trying to promote things as much as possible. I do feel like we get a pretty good amount of media coverage, so thank you to her for that. She also released our 2nd video about the main library project. If you haven't checked it out, I'd encourage you to take a look. It's gotta be on the webpage. I see everything on social media, but She's also gonna work on a third video next that really focuses more closely on some of the historic pieces that are being saved and how they're being repurposed. In terms of ad hoc crisis and recovery committee, Katie, Ray and I will be going to Sacramento in 2 weeks, I think.
Let's go.
So we will advocate to get $5 million more. So our lobbyist is currently scheduling meetings up there with legislative offices. I wanted to thank Daniel and David and their teams for relocating our staff and equipment all over the place the past few months. That includes our passport services office. I don't know if you saw Tony on your way in. She wasn't here. She's working out of this space. I talked to her on my way in. I did want to also point out that in addition to appointments here, passports are going to start offering appointments all day from 9 to 5 on Saturdays and Sundays, starting this coming Sunday, March 29th. Thank you to Diana for creating space for that. I think it will be heavily used. That's a time when people can actually bring their kids and other people to get passport appointments. I thought I'd also point out, because I didn't put it in my report, that Sammy is now certified as a notary.
Let's go.
Right.
Right.
And doesn't have space to do notary. So we'll be doing walk-ins and set up appointments at Bob Lucas on Mondays and Wednesdays from 3 to 5. And of course, we don't charge. So, people that need notary, refer them. Or I would assume we're gonna probably expand that a little bit too. So just to refer people to give us a call and see what we can pay for. But thank you, Diana, for freeing up space for that as well. We're actually gonna explore, I don't know if you want me to tell you this, but her notary certification is coming up in like September or something like that. We're playing with the idea of getting her certified to be able to notarize real estate documents.
That is smart.
That's huge.
Yeah,
That's real
because there's
smart.
gonna be a lot of people that need that as a
Mhm.
service up here. I don't think it would be free. I think we could do it at a reduced rate just to recoup the staffing costs. But I do think the circumstances call for it. So more info to come on that, but her and I are playing with that as an idea as well.
I wonder if we could get a grant to cover some of that, like people's costs, you know what I
All
mean?
people's.
Like, so that it would recoup our staffing costs, but it would be free at point of service to people.
Yeah,
That could be
do it.
interesting.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think if we charge much less.
Yeah, no, totally.
Okay, let's see what else. We've relocated the Fab Lab after putting lots of pressure on LA County. Well done, everybody. We really didn't have space in the Loma Alta site, so they gave us a portion of their computer lab. I haven't been up there yet. Did we fix the outlet? Not yet.
Work in process.
It's almost fully operational. The plan is to have the Fab Lab ready to go starting in April. So excited to have its own space up there as well. I did want to say kudos and congratulations to Catalina and Daniel for getting some FEMA money.
Woo!
I know.
Only people
They
in
had to
Pasadena
apply
who
for a
did.
grant. They had to provide so much data and statistics and costs. It was insane. They kept coming back asking for more. It was months long process, but we received almost $75,000.
Wow.
Yay. Thank you.
Amazing.
And then I also will point out our main library conditional use permit hearing is coming up. That's gonna be on Wednesday, April 22nd, at the LA County Hall of Records downtown. Can't remember the number on Temple Street. That's gonna be Wednesday, April 22nd at 9 a.m. But I've reached out to many community members today, in hopes of getting people to attend in person or virtually to provide public comment in support of the project. We don't anticipate any pushback, but always good to have support. Yeah. So let's see here. What else? I already talked about the furniture sale. And again, thank you to everyone for attending the groundbreaking. I've gotten such positive feedback about what a meaningful ceremony that was. Katie, you knocked it out of the park with the whole naming presentation, honestly. So thank you, and we'll make sure that Camila makes it to the groundbreaking next year. So
That's right.
on a day when you were out of town.
I know, but thank you to Young Bowen for taking my spot in the picture. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll pass that along. I also wanted to thank public services managers as well as the staff for their diligence in getting the Curiosity Connection volume 2 scheduled consistently throughout town. So kicked it off at the beginning of, what month was this, March? We're gonna have 4 stops a week. Thank you also to Grocery Outlet, Carib's Burger, Triangle Park / LA County, and Prime Pizza for giving us space to make that happen. Bryn and I went out that first week so we could be at all the stops, and Zach gave out free pizza, so I think that was the winner that week. The one consideration we have had to create guidelines around is this extreme heat. Like, we had to cancel 1 stop last week, right? So we're keeping an eye on that so that staff aren't getting like heat sick, but you know, now that we live in the desert, I guess.
Now that it's August.
Keeping it, but I feel like we've had pretty good, volume, which was gonna be like, but it was not my thing when we first got them, that there'd be like this spot people know they can go visit the library, so. That's a wish. Let's see, lastly, we had a Special District Association of San Gabriel Valley chapter mixer that was on March 11th. I'd encourage the board members, if and when you can in the future, to attend the chapter meetings. It's a really good way to connect with other staff and trustees. It's a lot of trustees actually from other special districts in the region. I was able to get our new bank, 5-Star Bank, to sponsor. So I'll continue to share information about those. And then just to touch on statistics, as you can see, the month was a little weird. I made some of the cells pink because they're like weird because Maine was closed, but they're statistics. I kind of explained that in the description, but I'll continue to highlight when it's like an anomaly and explain why. I'm happy to answer questions about that. And then on my personal note, I just wanted to like go on the record in the meeting and give a huge thank you again to Daniel, David, and their teams, as well as our public services managers, Diana, Indeed, and Gia, and all the public services staff for such a smooth and successful closure of the main library. I've been having one-on-ones with all my indirect reports last week and this week, just to gauge how everyone's doing and they're feeling after this like very transitional time. And overall, I feel like everyone's expressing that they feel supported and grateful for everything that was done to provide such a smooth experience. So, thank you. I also want to publicly thank trustees Clark and Marinas for their support of the building projects. It's a weekly meeting, which I think is a lot to ask of trustees, so thank you for that, making sure that we're reaching the finish line eventually, but like project, as well as, you know, the Altadena community in general for being such strong library supporters, so we could fund it and actually get it done. Okay, that was a long report, sorry. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? All right, moving into our financial reports. Hello, Christine.
Good evening, everyone, trustees, staff, and members of the public. I will highlight a few things. Thank you for putting those up, Sammy, the financials through February. We're at 67% of the year, 8 months through the year. And for revenue, well, the entire report reflects the mid-year budget adjustments that were just approved at the last meeting. So you're going to see actuals a little bit closer to budget based on that new knowledge. What you'll see with revenue is the federal revenue, which is the FEMA grant that we had not budgeted. So that is taking you over, as well as currently showing property taxes on lines 2 and 3 over budget. And that is because of the way the county apportions that money. And we believe that it could go down just a little bit based on collections, but we really won't know that until the first week of May, after all the April collections have been reported. And just a reminder that there's been several deferrals through April, so that's why we're just leaving a little room in there in the event that they don't come in at 100%. Expenses, almost all categories are in line or just a little bit above budget. That includes salaries and benefits. You're seeing there about 72%. Some of that is just timing. We pay some of the benefit costs in advance. That should even out for year end. Operating expenses, if you keep going, are also in line with budget, right there at 67%, as well as professional services. So I think where you're going to see the first categories are on lines 59 and 66, and that's materials and programming. And again, they are a little bit lagging because all of the donation and grants money was spent first. So you're going to see those getting closer to your 100% mark as we get into the last quarter of the year. So total expenses in total, right at 69%. At this point in time, 5.4 million has been added to the reserve where it was budgeted at 3.9, and that's mostly due to timing because we've got dollars in there in revenues, and they'll be expended over the next few months. So good presentation there. If you move to the next slide, or page 41, excuse me, is donations and grants. And again, you've heard staff talk about several of the categories here. There are only two that are not spent in full at this point. One of them are the Friends dollars, and that's intentional. There are some things budgeted for staff and volunteer recognition, staff development. You're going to see those lines be fully expended over the next couple months. And then also miscellaneous donations. I know that staff, you'll probably see them in March, if not April. Staff have expended those additional dollars for youth programming that you had an outside agency come in and donate. The literary expenses from the Pasadena Alliance will be spent out in full. And then also the Poets Laureate will be spent in full over the next couple of months. And I believe there is the intent, that's the only revenue line that you see at less than 100%. And that is because it's intended that the laureates themselves will be donating additional funds to make up those expenses. So again, healthy donations and grants. And this year it's really worked well, I believe, to spend out those dollars first and then focus on general fund. And it's also helping us as we work with staff right now to build the FY27 budget. Okay, the next page, I think page 42, is your combined budget, where you just see in total what the district is spending. And you'll notice the donation and grants it's primarily using a little bit of salaries and benefits, but mostly materials and programming is where you're going to see those costs, where the donations and grants help out the budget. Okay, any questions over those before we move to building? Okay, the next two reports are building. The first one is your building project, and that is showing just revenue this year. It's not including anything that we are amortizing of grant reimbursements. It's just the interest and the donations that have been received this year. That adopted budget column, we will be moving that up for investment income. We just approved moving that up, so that number will go up, and you won't see the 400%. You're a little closer to your actual budget for that. And again, not a lot of activity. Now that there's been the groundbreaking, we should start to see more expenses now that the main project is going. The next page shows you where you're at in terms of funding against the building project year to date. Year to date, and then also in the total column, you'll note what's been expended, net activity of $22 million. So you started with about 30 in total, and costs are about 6.7. And this is for Maine and Bob Lucas. So 22.6 remaining, 19 million of that being in the bonds, and the remainder of that being the grant funds. Any questions there? Okay, then let's go ahead and move to the balance sheet. Again, healthy balance sheet, total assets at 43 million, total liabilities at about 31 million, leaving your net fund balance at 11 million. And just a reminder that we do adjust your reserve requirement after each budget adjustment, and it's 50% of your budget expenses, which is about 2.4 million, and you're well above that number. And again, that's a snapshot today because of the additional state funding that the district has received. When you see in the next couple of months the budget, proposed budget for 27, you'll also see it projected out a few years. And what you'll see is using that state funding, withdrawing those funds so that over the period of maybe 2.5 to 3 years, you're back to a balanced budget. And depending on where your property taxes are at that point is when you might need additional funding. So I know there are still, attempts, efforts on the district's part to secure additional funding. And that is because those extra one-time funds are liquidated in about 2.5 years. Okay, that's all I have for my report tonight, unless there are any questions.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Christy, this is just because I can never remember which one each of these are. So on our balance sheet, we've got all of these basically different buckets that money sits in.
Mhm.
And I just want to make sure I understand which bucket is which. So line 8, our $2.4 million, that's our reserve, right? That $2.4 million is our regular.
Correct, yes.
Like operating reserve? Okay.
Yes.
California State Library, that's our grant money. Capital projects, that's interest, that's reimbursement. What is that $800,000?
Okay, so that is what happens when funds are spent. We spend the bond proceeds, the entire cost comes out of the bond proceeds, and then the portion that's grant eligible, we draw out of the grant. But we cannot legally go back and add it to the bond proceeds, so it's been invested here. So that's the portion of grant revenue that right now the board or the district has temporarily designated to capital projects until that project is completely finished. And then that could be redesignated to unassigned or to general fund.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect.
And I'll actually point out too that the money that is transferred on capital projects has come out of the building forward account.
Yeah,
If you recall, when we first got it, it was 3.759.
Yes.
So that's how much interest that account was made. That it's $10,000 more than it started.
Wow.
With us transferring out almost 800,000.
That's nuts. Okay, let's go interest.
The state doesn't control the interest, so.
Cool. Okay. Unfunded accrued liability, I know what that is. That goes to CalPERS eventually when we decide that it's worth it, but for now, we're just sitting on it. 12, that class fair market value negative 150. What is that?
Yeah, we really could group that out. It's a GASB requirement that you always market. So if you were to sell all the assets today, you would technically lose $150. So it's really small. That's so minor that it really should be grouped in there. But it's just we're constantly looking at marking it to what the assets, the investments are worth at the end point. So we'll group that. I just looking at it looks a little odd. It's really meant to be spelled out if it's a little higher. So
no, that makes sense. And then Five Star Bank, that $4.3 million, that's our state of California money,
Correct.
right?
I mean, it was what was in the general line in class.
Okay.
So because Five Star Bank matches late and for short, but it's liquid, we have set up that bank account, which we have the board approved. So Christy and I chose to move 4.3 million out of that general line with class to put in, so basically to diversify. And since that time, we actually have set up a separate checking account with Five Star Bank. And we're gonna move most of our banking over there now. They don't require me to come in and do a wire transfer, they charge a lot less. And that way I could go back and forth transferring between that public money market account and checking much easier than I do currently with Bank of California.
Got it.
We're gonna maintain Bank of California only to deposit money and get change.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So that's not showing it because we just set up the checking account.
Got it.
So it'll be a separate account too.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna stick around in case there are any questions when we get to the audit item. But that's all, concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to our ad hoc committee reports. We had one from the facilities committee.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot to add here. Bob Lucas is done, so that's great. As I said, the hearing is April 22nd. I think everything is moving forward. We're in good shape. happy to answer any questions, but I mean, as you see, it's a short report this month.
No liens, everything's clean.
Everything's clean.
You have time on April 22nd, show up.
Yeah, if you have time, that's right. And we'll have information on how you can join in person or online. Both are good. And just say like, we think this is great. We're so excited about this project. It's gonna be so good for the community. For whatever reasons you think that's true. If you think that's true. If you don't think that's true, I bet you have something else you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like.
I'll check my calendar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. I feel like it's a pretty self-selected group.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, moving into new business. Our first item is review and approval of professional auditing services, which is a recommendation. Will you be reporting on that?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here, and then like Christy mentioned, she's here as well. So it has been, I think before I joined the district, but since we did an RFP for audit services, so it was definitely timely. The last couple of years, it's like, we're gonna do last year, I'm gonna hire, new auditing firm, build all of that. Year before, I don't remember what the attached with the weird implemented, but, this year we did post it. Submission deadline was Monday, March 3rd at 5 o'clock. I did put it out, to several different firms, like through recommendations with CSDA's website. We did receive 3, one of which was our current auditing firm, which is Nigro. So myself, our administrative specialist, and Christy, who, the 3 of us, were the ones that largely worked with the auditing firm, did a review and scoring of proposals. Basically what it came down to, and I'll let Christy comment more thoroughly on this if need be, but the only difference was cost. Like, all of them were very qualified, the proposals looked very similar. It's just Nigro came in about $5,000 less than the next firm. And then the other firm was like 12,500, 17,500, and 20,000. So they barely raised their cost from what they're currently charging us. I think that's partially, if you looked at the number of hours they said they'd have to spend, it's because they already have all of our information. It'd be very smooth moving into the next audit cycle. So we really, we're happy with them as a firm. So our recommendation is to just continue with Nigro. And I don't know if you want to add anything, Christy, but happy to answer any questions.
I'll just add one thing, and that is that they are changing the partner in charge. So while it'll be the same staff working on it, it will be under review by a different partner. And that is just to continue with independence. It's a smart move on their part. They do have another partner. His name is Jared, and we've worked with him just as much as we have Paul. So yeah, like Nikki said, they can keep it at the same cost and still provide another set of eyes. So yeah.
Great. Are there any questions? Okay, if none, may we get a motion to authorize the district director to contract with Nigro for fiscal years in January 30, 26, 28.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the review and approval of the facility use policy.
All right, that's me again, although a lot of us have done this, so if there's things you think of, Diane, David, Daniel, that you want to add, just let me know. So we are bringing forth the facility use policy. It was last updated and approved by the board in 2022. Much of this was motivated by the fact that the main library has closed and we no longer have a conference or a community center to rent out. Our plan is to update it, bring it back ahead of the main library, but as you know, we're gonna have a lot more spaces, so we want a really robust discussion about what we're renting, what we're not, what fee schedules look like, and all of that good stuff. So that's part of it, and we just, as you can see, removed that whole section. It's not going to this one. Secondly, with us having multiple study rooms at Bob Lucas, we also needed to look at how people reserve those, what the rules are around that. the old policy, I felt like almost went into too much detail, so this way there's a little bit of less stringent guidelines, so that if we need to make little tweaks, we can, depending on how things go. So yeah, as you can see, we did a red line. Some things there wasn't a lot of change, others we just had to move both sections. But again, like I said, we're planning to bring this back probably and just refer down. Maybe it's pretty open. Do you have anything to add?
I would just add that, really, the changes in this policy, especially related to the room signups and reservations, revolve around the changing climate of technology that we're using. So the self-service machines, not self-checkout, but self-service machines, which include the ability to reserve rooms and through the app. So our overall goal is to try and make it more convenient, be able to plan it out a little bit further. Right now, we were basing it on the old policy without the app's availability. So that really only allowed for 8-person because it was taking on some staff time to manage that, and only same-day reservations for that same reason. And the next hour that's available. So this really broadens the ability to reserve and the technology that's used. So now you can interact with staff and make reservations, but it can be done through a mobile app or through the self-service machines as well, and in advance.
I like this much better.
And the user experience is fantastic. Like, I have pointed a number of people to it recently. It's so easy. Being able to do it a week in advance is huge.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so convenient on the app. It's really good.
Yeah. I had a random question that's super small, but I can't find what page it was on, but it specified if you're in a room, you can't go in and out except to go to the bathroom. And like, what was the rationale for that? That it needed to be spelled out in the policy? I was curious.
I think it's probably we don't want people using it as a room. I don't want it to be
At the storage room?
like to just store their drawers stuff there and see. It's not.
It's a thing that would have to happen at other libraries, like a really common issue, so you just put the language into it, with it. People will like leave their stuff and then kind of come back to it.
Really?
And also you just don't want people to leave stuff, like unattended items, so it kind of just discourages doing that.
And
Okay.
even like out in like normal spaces, people leave their items and for longer time. But not saying, just to let you know, you're putting your Christmas, you're not watching it.
Yeah.
So I think that because there is a group. Just like they lost.
Yeah, okay. I was just curious what the context to that. Any other questions?
This is just a curiosity question, not a facility. It's a policy question. I think it looks good. Can you reserve anything except, or can you request to rent anything except for our study rooms right now?
I mean, I did leave some language in so that there's an ability for us to rent.
Yeah, I saw
If
that.
we so choose to.
Right.
Trust me, I debated that, not with any of them, someone else. The answer is yes, we could probably rent Bob if we so choose to.
Right.
Will we do that? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I wanted to have language in there so that I could rent it if I so choose. But the plan with Bob, if any requests come in, is it would have to be something that we wanted to partner and it becomes one of like the library sponsor that we're not gonna turn it into like a rental space.
Right.
But in the event something crazy happens and somebody wants to pay me tons of money to rent Bob, I
Sure.
still have some ability.
Okay. That makes sense.
Any other questions? Then we get a motion to approve this updated facility use policy.
So again,
All in favor?
Aye.
alright,
Thank you. Next, we have review and approval of resolution 2026-01, which is nominating the district director, Nikki Wintrow, as a candidate for the California Special District Association Board of Directors, CD Southern Network.
Okay, I know you're feeling like we just talked about this. We passed a resolution back in, I looked it up, what was it, September? There was a vacancy on the board for this specific seat, but it was only a 1-year vacancy. The person that stepped down only had a year left. So now the seat will be open for a 3-year term. This will be by election. The last process was through appointment. So again, this is just formality of the board needs to officially nominate me through resolution. I thank you to Sammy for filling out my application for me again. We updated my candidate statement, but I do think it's beneficial to the district to have me serving in that capacity and would like to continue to do so. So, happy to answer any questions. I don't see it as a conflict with schedules, looking at all the things that are required. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Thank you for being willing to do this. Just an amendment. This has to be 2026-02 because we passed 2026-01 last month. That was our interfund repayment resolution. So we just want to amend the number on it.
Okay. Good catch. Thanks, Katie.
You bet.
I will share, we got this letter from Three Valleys Municipal Water District, sent to the Board of Trustees, which is a letter of support for Nikki Winslow for the CSCA Board of Directors. It's available for you to review.
Oh, I was gonna vote no, but if Three Valleys is on board,
I
I mean, that's like, no, that's lovely. That's great.
And I think that, Sammy's gonna include it in the correspondence for its
Super.
next meeting as well.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Any other questions or feedback about this item? Okay, then if none, then can we get a motion that we approve resolution 2026-02 as amended, nominating our district director as a candidate for the CSCA Board of Directors?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Okay. Moving on to governance, we have local.
One more item.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, I crossed it out.
On
Yeah, review and approval of the May 20th closure for Habitat for Humanity Action Day.
So, we are asking the board to allow us to close, on May 20th, which I believe is a Wednesday. We reached out to Habitat for Humanity. They're currently building, I think Mark said 22 houses in right now. 3 years ago, the staff did a volunteer day, to help build the first house that was ever constructed by Habitat for Humanity, that sadly is no longer there.
No.
What did it burn down?
Oh.
That sucks.
So,
Yeah.
I spoke to the PEP squad, which is the one, like our group that organized this kind of thing, and we agreed that we'd like to do that again. This day seemed to work best, and the report says Thursday, it should say Wednesday, I got that is Wednesday. The plan would be to close for the day, and to do a corporate sponsorship, it's around $5,000. I reached out to the foundation and friends to see if they'd be willing to match half of that, and they both are super happy to. So we're gonna work with staff to fundraise half of that amount, which is $2,500 to support Habitat. We're doing these off. We really enjoyed doing it the last time. We thought it was a really great team building day, and we'd like to do it again with many new staff members that are on board. So hopefully the board's okay with that.
That's great.
I will also throw out there, we don't have this as an item, but this is the first year we're technically open on Easter. We've never been open on Sundays since I've been here, so it's not listed as a formal closure date. We are not planning to be open. We will close off Lucas. We're usually open 1 to 5, but being a holiday that I think most people will not even know we're open, we'll give staff the option to either take leave or shift their hours from what they do that week, but we'll make sure to include it next year as a closed, non-paid holiday. That way, I'll throw that in there somewhere too, but that is something that came about recently. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Do you know which house you all would be working on?
No idea. Cause I do think there's lots of them.
Yeah, there are.
I was just
have more
curious.
information on it. I don't know if you wanna like swing by.
My neighbor's having one, so I'm just curious. Maybe it might be her.
Special request.
Yeah. Come to Terrace Street.
Yeah.
All I know is Diane and I can't wait to roof again.
Yeah, you did have fun.
We did roof on them.
I know. Okay, then can we get, if there are no further questions, can we get a motion to approve the closure on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026?
Motion approved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Now, moving on to governance, we have local LAPCO 2026-27 proposed draft budget.
So it's happening, it will get looked at it. LAFCO has submitted their fiscal year from 6.7 proposed draft budget for review and consideration. With some detail.
We don't need to do anything with it, it's informational. Okay. Any, we need to discuss it, are there any questions about this proposed budget?
No.
Okay. Then we have AB 1392. Resources, elected official letter template and confidential status form.
The county clerk's office that corresponded on opted for confidential letter status, the template and of course the work included in it around that.
You forwarded that to us? You said?
Sorry.
You said you forwarded the email? All right. Moving on to announcements and planning, is there any correspondence? And are there the three values?
We'll put that in the next month. I will point out, Alvina did send out an email today that with SB 827, all local agency officials must now complete, an additional training on,
I just got them done. It was such an uphill battle.
Financial,
I,
2 hours.
you have until January 1st, 2028.
Okay.
Wow, okay.
Everybody. Yeah.
I'll never sit down.
Um,
That is a long deadline.
Yeah, that's right.
So you're being assigned, through CSD to go in and do that. So FYI, all of us need to do that, including Catalina as our administrative specialist. In addition to that, managers, exciting news, you get to do ethics training now.
Woo.
That's also been assigned, like, she said it's like all departmental level, so basically all managers as well as you've got ethics, right? And Catalina will do that as well, so we'll get that assigned to your students. I think it's good, like, let's up our ethics game generally.
Sure.
Always.
We should do that.
Yeah, everybody's,
Yeah, I did mention the people one a while back, but I'm sure it was like on the road backwards.
Did you?
I didn't register that.
I know, you better get on us now.
Yeah, no, that's right, because you had to hassle me a lot.
Or actually 2028, you're gonna be hassling us.
Mhm. Yep.
Out of sight, out of mind. Okay. All right, is there any, proposed future agenda items? Team, no? Okay, then I will have us adjourned at 6:15.
Mhm.